Hello.
Hello.
Hi, are you Celia?
Yeah.
Hello, my name's Emma, I'm one of the doctors.
Okay.
And I've been asked to do a chat with you to check up on how things are going with your diabetes. Is that alright?
Yeah.
Who have you brought with you? Is this your
My mum.
Okay, is that alright with
Yeah,
you?
that's fine.
So I'll ask you a few questions about how things are going and about when you were first diagnosed, and then we'll make a plan if anything needs to be done today, okay?
Yeah.
If it's alright with you, I'll just make a few notes as we go along.
Yeah.
Right. How old are you, Celia?
I'm 11.
11. Okay, great. Okay, so tell me a bit about how you're doing at the moment. How is things
Well,
going?
Because I've got my pump,
Okay.
my blood sugar's been mainly okay, and I've had
Good.
a few high ones,
Okay.
but not regularly.
Okay, very good. When were you first diagnosed with your diabetes?
I was diagnosed on I can't remember.
It's alright, Mum can help
When-
with some of these
I was
ones.
to say how old you were.
When I was 6, I had turned 6, I think, only a few days earlier.
So she was
Yeah.
6, okay, fine. And you, it might be a bit much to ask you to remember, but I might just ask Mum, if you don't mind, what was happening at that time for her to be diagnosed?
There were a few signs. She was becoming tired very easily, especially towards the end of the day.
Yeah.
She had said that she was thirsty, which was something that she'd never ever said before. I'd always had to
Right.
try and get her to drink.
Okay.
And she had there were 2 times when she wet the bed, but quite seriously wet the bed. It wasn't just a dribble, it was, the blood was
Okay.
completely
Right.
sodden, and I just looked on the NHS Direct website, and because I thought it might be diabetes,
Okay.
and we went to our GP and she had a finger prick. And that's
Okay.
it.
Okay. And was she very unwell at that time? Did she have to go into hospital at the time when she was diagnosed? Or?
She did, but only overnight.
Okay, one night.
Yeah, just one night.
Okay. Okay, good. And since then, has she had to go into hospital many times or at all because of the diabetes?
Well, we've been in once or...
Yeah,
When
we've
you-
never actually been admitted.
Right, okay.
So we've had a couple of times when we've had to come back,
Yeah.
but we've always just managed to not be admitted.
Okay, good. Well done. Fine. And so those symptoms that your mum mentioned now, when you were first had your diabetes, being tired and really thirsty, have you had anything like that recently?
No, not really.
Okay, so not particularly tired, not particularly thirsty.
No.
And what about your weight? Are you growing nicely, not losing any weight?
I'm not losing any weight.
Okay, good. Okay. And have you been unwell with any fevers or infections, anything like that?
I haven't been unwell with any fevers or infections,
No,
Okay,
not,
with
not
anything
recently.
else?
but I have. I think a few months ago I got
Yeah.
really ill, and I was off half the term.
Oh, what was wrong then?
Well, I was vomiting quite
Okay.
a lot, and I just wasn't very well.
There were just lots of, I think, sort of
Bugs.
typical bugs,
Oh,
sort of stomach
okay.
bugs and things. They weren't related specifically to her diabetes.
Right.
They obviously affected it, but they weren't because she was diabetic.
No,
it was
and no
just
specific other diagnosis. It was put down to just tummy bugs.
yeah, it's sort of viruses and tummy bugs and things like that. But she
Okay.
was just quite ill for a long time.
And that's settled down now, has it?
Yeah.
Okay. And it sounds sorry, but since we're talking about being sick and going to the toilet, I'll ask you now. Do you have any diarrhea now?
No.
No. Okay. How often do you go to the toilet for a poo?
I don't know.
Every day, every other day.
Every day.
Every day. Okay. And this, it seems to have settled down, does it? The problem that she had a few months ago.
Yeah. She
Okay.
doesn't usually suffer with that.
Fine. So let's talk a little bit more about your control of your diabetes then. You mentioned that you had a pump. When did you get the pump?
I got the pump about almost 2 years ago.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. And have you got along well with it? Are you happy with the pump?
Yeah, I'm happy with it because it keeps my blood sugar controlled.
Yeah. And do you only use the pump now? No extra injections or anything?
No extra injections unless I'm really ill. My blood sugar just won't come down.
Okay. And how often does that happen?
Rarely ever happens. I've only had to do that twice, I think.
Okay. And you mentioned that you haven't had any hypos. Is that right? You haven't had any since you had the pump?
No, I have had hypos, but
Okay.
2 minutes remaining.
yeah, I've only had a few hypos.
Okay.
They're not as frequent as they used to be.
Okay. When you get a hypo, can you tell that it's coming? Do you feel particularly funny?
Yes, I feel shaky and my legs and my arms feel weak.
Okay. And what do you do when you have a hypo?
I check my blood sugar and then have apple juice or glucose tablets.
Very good. And does that always get things under control? Do you ever have to do anything else?
Apple juice, yes, but glucose sometimes doesn't bring me up enough.
No. And then what do you do then if it doesn't bring it up enough?
I have an apple
Then you
juice.
have an apple, and the apple juice always works.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's the lowest your blood sugar's been then since you've had the pump? Do you know?
1.9.
Okay. Okay. And at school, do they know how to help you with your hypos?
Yeah.
Okay. Has she ever had a hypo when she's been unconscious and you've had to do something?
No, she's never,
Okay.
since diagnosis, she's never had...
Okay, good. No seizures or anything
No.
like that? Okay. So perhaps I could just recap on what you've told me already and you correct me if I'm wrong, and then we'll move on a little bit. So you're 11 now and you were diagnosed with diabetes at the age of 6, and I'm assuming that's what we call type 1 diabetes, is that
Yes,
right?
yeah.
Okay, but you've had a pump fitted about 2 years ago, and since then things have been quite well controlled. And you've had a few hypos, but it sounds like you're managing them very well yourself, particularly using the apple juice. And you've been really well otherwise. You just had a few tummy bugs a few months ago, but that's all settled down.
Yeah.
The only one I just wanted to clarify, actually, having gone through that, is you mentioned your blood sugar had been high once or twice. What was happening then?
Leave station.
Well, I would become rather high and I would have quite a lot of ketones in my blood sugar.
Right.
And I just couldn't bring it down, so I would have to use my insulin pen.
And that was the times when you mentioned that you were unwell with something else?
Sometimes unwell with being unwell with some other bug would make her blood go high, but we have had instances where her blood has been high and there hasn't been been any reason, and we've done all the things that we should do, changed the insulin, the pump, tried the pen, different pens, all sorts of things. And we haven't always been able to work out why that is.
Right.
And we've come to the hospital and they haven't always been able to work out why that is either. But those instances are quite rare.
They're rare, okay.
Yeah. So sometimes it's to do with another illness, sometimes it's not, but we don't know.
And would you say that's a problem, an ongoing issue for you at the moment, that's a trouble, or is it really something that's not too much of a problem and it's settling down?
I don't think it's too much of a problem. No.
How often does that happen, that it's high and we can't quite work out why?
Well, we've had the pump, we think, probably about 20 months, and I think that's probably only happened twice in that time.
Okay. And what sort of things do you like to eat?
I like to eat a lot of pasta
Okay.
and potatoes.
Okay. Do you enjoy those, or is that because we've
I
had...
enjoy those.
Okay. And do you like sugary things, or do you try to avoid those?
Well, I do like sugary things, but I
Yeah.
don't eat them often.
Okay, good. So if you have to have a snack at school during the day, what sort of thing would you have?
I might have maybe an apple
Okay.
or maybe some crisps, but
Okay.
We don't really need to have snacks in the day.
No, okay.
Now that we
You
have the pump.
Good.
yeah.
And just the apple juice occasionally. Okay, good. Now it sounds like you eat quite healthily. Is it quite easy to have healthy meals at home, or is the diet side of things a bit difficult and a bit of a trouble for you?
It's quite easy to have food at home because all we eat I know I like,
Good.
so it's
Okay.
easy to work out what
Brilliant.
I'm having.
Have you had some help with a dietitian when you were first diagnosed with diabetes to help
Yeah.
you with that? Okay. And do you feel confident about the types of things to eat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she can eat whatever she wants to. So, I mean,
Yeah.
obviously she has to follow a healthy diet,
Yeah.
but her insulin regime when she was injecting and on the pump means that she can actually eat whatever she wants to. So I don't feel that we've ever really, apart from that part when she was initially diagnosed and we were unsure of things, she's not had to restrict
diet
her
hasn't
diet.
been a problem.
No.
Good. Okay, brilliant. Do you have any other medical conditions?
No.
Anything like asthma, epilepsy?
No.
Okay. And I think I'll probably have to ask Mum about this bit because you won't remember. When she was born, was she born at the normal time?
Yeah, she was born 1 week late.
Okay.
And
any problems when she was born or with the pregnancy?
No, normal delivery.
Okay. And she didn't have to stay in hospital a long time?
No.
Go to the special care baby unit? Okay, good. And has she had any other major illnesses in her life before that she wouldn't be able to tell me when she was little?
No, you haven't had any.
No?
Other than breaking
Good.
her arm, nothing.
Okay, when did you break your arm?
When I was 4,
Okay.
No, you were fine.
I was 5.
You were fine. But yeah, other than that, no other medical conditions.
Okay. And do you have any allergies to any medicines?
Medicines, no.
No?
No.
And do you take any other medicines other than having your pump?
Only when I've got hay fever or a cold.
Okay. Okay. And what do you take then?
I take Loratadine.
Loratadine.
Good,
for
well
her
done.
fever,
Okay.
And just Calpol and Nurofen.
Okay.
Yes.
And have you had all your immunisations? That's your injections at the doctor's?
Yeah,
There's a
we
one
have.
from Mum as
Yeah.
well. Okay. Is there a family history of diabetes at all?
We don't have any family history of type 1, but on her paternal great-grandmother
Okay.
developed type 2 in later life, and
Okay.
also her paternal uncle has type 2
Okay.
as well.
Are there any other illnesses that run in the family that I should know about? Okay. Do you have any brothers and sisters?
Yeah, I have one sister,
Okay. And what's her name?
Olivia.
How old is she?
She is 7.
And does she have diabetes? No. And are they full sisters?
Yeah.
So we always ask that. Okay. And how are things going at school? Do you enjoy school?
Yeah,
Okay. Which school do you go to?
Capspawn,
Okay. What year are you in?
6.
Okay. And have the school got a written plan for what to do if you have any problems with your diabetes?
Yeah.
Okay. And what about sleepovers and things? Do you ever go to sleepover at friends' houses?
Yes, I do, but not regularly.
Not that often.
Okay.
But she did do a school residential trip
Yeah.
last month,
Okay.
which was sort of quite nerve-wracking for me, but it all went very well.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you have any problems on the trip at all?
No.
Did you
No.
have to have the apple juice?
Yeah, so it was quite a lot
Yeah.
of
Physical activities.
Oh, I
Yeah.
see. So you needed to eat
yeah,
even
there
more.
was quite a lot
Okay.
of text exchange. So wake her up and give her biscuits and
Biscuit.
things to get her through the night.
Milk.
That was
Apple
our
juice.
worry. The night
Okay.
time. Yeah.
So when you said text, does that mean were you texting her?
Her teachers were texting me
text
because they're not meant to have contact with their parents while they're away. It's part of the trip, and so to maintain that for Celia,
That's tricky, isn't
and for her to be the same as everybody else.
Yeah.
The teachers were very good actually, and they would send me texts
Okay.
of her nighttime readings. So.
Okay, good. How did you feel on the trip? Were you happy to go?
Yeah, I was fine going and I really enjoyed it.
Okay. Is doing a lot of exercise generally a problem that causes you to have hypos? Or was it just that trip that was
I
really
think
a lot?
it was just that trip, really.
Okay. So if you do PE at school, normally okay?
Yeah, PE's okay.
Okay.
But you do have to make provision for exercise.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
So what do you do? Do you eat something extra?
I have to test my blood sugar and then, depending on what I'm doing, I have glucose
Okay.
or other food.
Okay. And do you feel quite confident with adjusting that, or is that something you find difficult?
I find it quite easy working
Okay.
out how many I
Okay.
need to take.
And how do you do that? Do you have a little chart, or do you just know the numbers now?
Well, you have to sort of take an estimate at it, but if I'm a certain blood sugar, I may need more than I am if I'm at another blood sugar.
Okay. Okay. And how do you work out what to do? Do you just know? Do you just know now, or do you have something written down to help you to decide what to do?
I just know, really.
You just know. Okay. So say you were going to go and do some PE at school and you checked your blood sugar and it was 4.5, what would you do?
I would take full glucose
Okay.
because I need to bring myself up and keep myself up.
Okay, and what would you be aiming to be at before you started your sport?
Before I started my sport, I'd sort of be aiming at maybe 5 to 8.
Okay, brilliant. Well done. Sounds like you can teach us a thing or two. Okay, and then there's a number that you may have had monitored before you came to see us, and it's called HbA1c. Does that ring a bell? It doesn't matter if you don't know. How have your HbA1cs been over the years?
Well, since I've had my pump, they've been a lot better.
Yeah. So what sort of number might have?
I can't remember.
Don't worry. Okay, we can look that up on the computer. Okay.
They're going down though, aren't they? I think we're going to...
Okay.
Actually, they've changed how they measure it
They
now.
went up.
We're still in the old-fashioned version, so...
Okay. So is there anything at the moment that's bothering you or that you'd like us to help you with today?
No, not really.
Okay. And would you mind telling me a bit about how it feels to have diabetes at your sort of age? And
Well, sometimes you feel quite a bit different to other kids your age, but you get used to it.
yeah. Do your friends know that you have diabetes?
Yeah.
Yeah. And do
Most
you know?
kids in my year do.
Yeah. Okay. And do any of your friends have diabetes?
No.
Okay. But do you know some of your friends who have other things like asthma and things
Yeah,
like that?
I've got 2 friends who have got asthma.
Okay. Well, it sounds like you do a brilliant job of looking after your diabetes, and it really sounds like you could teach me a thing or two about diabetes. Is there anything you want to ask us today?
No, thank
No.
you.
Okay, so perhaps I could just sum up again and you tell me if I'm wrong or if I've missed out important things, okay? So I won't do the beginning bit again. I'll start from where we left off, which is that you had your pump 2 years ago, and that since then your sugars have been pretty well controlled, but you do have occasional hypos, particularly when you do lots and lots of exercise like on the school trip. But you have a really good plan for how to manage those, and it sounds like you're quite confident with giving yourself the apple juice and testing. And you've got a sister at home who's 7, so you're the boss at home. And you enjoy school and you go to Campsbourne and you're in year 6 and recently been away on the first trip away from home, which must have been a bit of a milestone.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to add that you think is important for us to know?
No.
No.
Okay, great. Thank you very much to both of you. You've done a brilliant